all for today's interactive session with Mr. Arindam Lahiri, CEO of Automotive Skill Development Council, Government of India. So, first of all, I would like to start this meeting by uh, considering a case that is youth empowerment is necessary for any country's development, especially in India. So, according to the NASCOM studies, 80% of India's graduates are unemployable. And what I think is that this issue must be taken very seriously as we have the highest youth population in India. And the major things which we should focus on for youth empowerment is skill development. As with the possessed skills, an individual with curiosity and inspiration not only can get job of his dreams but again can also do freelancing and start his own business. The second thing which I am considering for the skill development is startups, which are nowadays a very important part of our youth generation and for the industry as well. So, as if now, India should focus on skill development and startups more. So, I welcome you all to today's interactive session on one of the most growing and booming domain, that is why EV skills are crucial for 30% EV by 2030. So I welcome Mr. Arindam Lahiri, the CEO of ASDC, today in our session to give some insights on the automotive industry. So Mr. Lahiri has more than 3 decades of professional experience, majorly in the automotive domain and also in the learning and development domain as well. So I welcome you, Mr. Arindam, to today's interactive session.
Thank you. Thank you, Simran.
So, sir, first of all, I would like to ask you that how are you doing, sir?
All very good. Thank you. Happy to be
So,
here with the students and well-wishers of Skyy Skill Academy.
thank you so much, sir, for your time today with us in Skyy Skill Academy. And thank you so much we would be highly appreciating you when you would be sharing the insights more of automotive domain and skill development requirements nowadays in the industry. So, sir, before we start the session, we would all love to know about you and your experiences over the past 3 decades, which you have experienced in the automotive domain, starting from your first career job in 1992, that was Maruti Udyog, to ASGC CEO. How was your journey, sir?
Yeah, that's a good point to start. And always feels good looking back on the journey so far. I think I've been very fortunate, while I was studying my mechanical engineering um, during 1986 to 1990. I was quite keen to join an automotive company, and in those days, it was very limited choice in terms of an automobile company in India. So on one side, you had the Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, or you had the uh, two-wheeler manufacturers like Bajaj, TVS, uh, Hero Honda in those days. But I was fortunate to have started with Maruti Udyog. This was in 1992 after I finished my management education. And it was a very exciting 4-year journey. We were launching uh, Zen vehicle at that point in time. Some of you may have seen or heard about Zen, which was quite ahead of its time at that point in time. There were a lot of new technologies there. So I was part of that project and was looking after brakes and wheel systems there. So it was a very good value addition. And subsequently, I have worked in other manufacturing environments. I worked with a company which was into electronics hardware manufacturing, surface mount technologies at that point in time, um, which was not very common at that point in time. But today, surface mount SMT manufacturing is quite common, because you need a PCB board, a populated motherboard for almost everything electronics,
True.
and you do have a lot of manufacturing in India. Um, Post that, I spent some time in the global markets, based out of US. Look, being part of Honeywell, turbine and turbocharger business, which was again a very interesting phase. Getting to learn a lot of exposure in the international market. Um, Post that is when I decided to get into education training. My first journey was with Career Launcher, which grew as an education and training company. And post that, I've had educational stints with Grass Educational Services as well as with HT Media, Hindustan Times Media. It's been a very exciting journey of more than 5 years now, with ASDC, where I'm able to kind of integrate my experience in academics, I mean, in education training and in the automobile space. And it's also a very exciting time in the automobile space itself, given the fact that we are talking about alternate fuels, including battery electric vehicle, hybrid electric vehicle, etc. Also looking at adopting variants of Industry 4.0 in the manufacturing process, in the automotive industry. So overall, I think it's very exciting, and that's what keeps me going even after 3 decades. And happy to see youngsters excited about EV skills, EVs. I think EVs have helped us, at least in one way, that it has brought a lot of attention to the auto industry, or a lot of excitement to the auto industry.
True that. So definitely, as you spoke about the automotive industries, and nowadays EV are coming into the picture. So we'll be coming to that point as well. But before that, sir, I would like to ask you that as we started our session with youth empowerment, so all the future aspirants are here with us today in our session. So I would like you to put some light on that part, that how youth empowerment is very important for the development of every country, and especially as India is having the highest population of youths nowadays. So how would you like to help them or guide them with this path?
Yeah, I think youth empowerment is very critical for any country's growth, and any country which has grown in the past, in the present, and I'm sure it will happen in the future. The youth will continue to play a very, very important role. You know, in our times as youth, we looked at transitioning from a country. This was around 1991 when the reforms were the major reforms in the Indian economic environment were introduced. We grew up in an environment where everything was licensed, and the government controlled almost everything that you would want to do in this country. And then suddenly, here we were as youngsters getting into the industry and realizing that there are no government controls, and therefore you are kind of free to do anything, so to say. I mean, anything, of course, with various rules and regulation, but yes, you could actually do a lot of different things and a lot of new things. And India as a country opened up to the rest of the world, and a lot of people A lot of international businesses came into the country, and we got an opportunity to learn from them and progress uh, on the back of it. The whole Indian IT story, I think, is predominantly driven by the youngsters at that point in time who chose to be part of that industry. The entire telecom industry growth in India happened because of youngsters in the industry, and of course, the entire automotive industry growth, because automotive till some time back was probably the only major manufacturing industry in this country. And youngsters contributed a lot to this. Today we see a lot of youngsters in a startup environment where youngsters are not afraid to start their own businesses. So they are not only job seekers, but they are also job givers. And that itself is also transitioning the whole country into a different a level or a different orbit in that sense. So youngsters, play a very critical role. Their education, their skills, their competencies are absolutely critical. If a country has youngsters who are not um properly skilled, not properly educated, not do not have the necessary competence, do not have the necessary aspirations, I think it's very difficult for that country to move forward. And we do see a lot of country in the Western world today getting into that space where the youngsters in those countries, of course, do not lack education and basic necessities in life, but having achieved a lot of things, I think there is lack of what uh, I should say aspiration, uh, power, the power to do something new. These are missing, and this is something where the Indian youth can make a difference not only for our country but also to the growth of the entire world economy in the next few decades.
Correct. Very true, sir. Very true. Said that nowadays youth should contribute towards the development of the world instead of only particular any country, right? So again, sir, I would like to put some light as you also said that nowadays skill development or skill set in particular individual is very important, and anyone who has that aspiration or curiosity to
Hmm.
do anything in life, they can also even start their own startups, right? Which is, I believe, the most important thing to develop. So I would tell you that as you have been a part of Sky Skill Academy over 3 years now, so you might also be knowing the story of Sky Skill Academy, how it started, and how Mr. Himanshu started this platform for the skill development of the students to help them grow in their particular domains. Because many of the students are nowadays facing this kind of issues wherein they are not getting the right path towards the industry, right? And it takes a lot of courage to start this start up a new platform where everyone should be aligned properly, right? So sir, how would you like to put some impact on the candidates over this, how Skyskill and ASDC is helping the generation nowadays to develop their skill set and move forward in the automotive industry?
No, absolutely. I think it has been a quite a fantastic journey. I have known Himanshu for a while now, almost since the time he started and got in touch with us. Um, uh, in terms of supporting students for their uh, need to have a better understanding of the industry, the new skills, the new technologies that are coming into the market, and which is to be for which one can get ready uh, is uh, is what Skyskill Academy is trying to do in collaboration with various other partners. ASDC being one of one of the partners to Skyy Skill in terms of validation, accreditation of their programs, helping them with the assessment process, certification, etc. If I look at this entire journey of a youngster transitioning from school education to from to college education to a career in an industry, it's sometimes very confusing and sometimes quite stressful because you have many options. You really don't have an idea or a clue as to which area you should be looking at, or whether or not you should be looking at a certain area or not. And it is this confusion where I guess organizations like Skyy Skill Academy can play a very important role in terms of clarifying and helping students to understand not only whether they should uh, focus on this domain of EV skills. It can also help them understand that they should not be focusing on this domain of EV skills because this is not something that they will be good at or they will be able to do well. I can relate to my own journey. When I started in the industry, there always used to be this feeling inside me that okay, I have been a reasonably good student academically, let's say, and I've done well in terms of my academics. But does that necessarily mean that I will be doing well in my professional career? And the answer was always a resounding no, because these are two different worlds in any way. I mean, of course, we keep talking about industry, academia, partnership, etc. But in the journey of an individual, uh, when you are in academics, education, uh, if you perform very well, don't assume that you will do very well in your professional career. It may not happen. And at the same time, it is equally true that if you are not very good in academics, you should not start thinking, I cannot have a good professional career. And there are umpteen examples on both sides. Okay. So what has happened with others is like there is always a likelihood of similar things happening with you. Now it is up to you as to, but that doesn't mean that if you are academically good, you cannot have a good professional career. That is also possible.
True that.
But you have to be very clear, and this is where the challenge comes with youngsters, that you start doing many things at the same point in time without committing yourself to something where you relatively understand or relatively have a confidence that yes, I can do well in this area. I came out and joined industry at a time when and a lot of my batchmates, even from mechanical engineering, were shifting into IT because IT was the new mantra at that point in time, and it seemed like it will grow well. Of course, IT wasn't this big in India at that point in time. Now, the people who moved in there has been good story. I have friends who are now in senior leadership in, let's say, Microsoft or Google or wherever. But there are people who failed in that process, in that journey. They just couldn't transition. Okay. And there were some of us who did not get into IT, but have done in our own way quite well in terms of what we had to do. Okay. So it's not that because we didn't go into IT, our career was over. Okay. So I think for youngsters who are there today, being part of this session, I want to just emphasize and re-emphasize on one thing, that you are the boss of your career. You know, the earlier that you can decide as to what is it that you are more keen to do, and you start doing it, you will be more successful. The more confused you are, more you think that you know everything and I want to do everything, you are likely to mess up your journey going forward. Be focused and do one thing very good. There will be some adjacent areas that you can always transition into. Okay. But it is important that you must be good at something for people to be hiring you, or you must be good at something so that you become successful in the startup that you are planning to get going, or you are planning to join. That, to me, is the core of the journey for a youngster.
True that, sir. Very true. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful explanation about this. And I believe that everyone present here would have got a complete idea that whoever thinks that being good in academics, the person would always success in professional area or vice versa, is there. So I believe they might have got a complete insight about it. So, sir, coming to the topic which we had decided for today's session, which is 30% of EV by 2030. So, as I have gone through the various subjects of electric vehicle, and according to the union minister Nitin Gadekar, the Indian government also intends to achieve 100% buses, 70% of commercial vehicles, and 30 to 70% on an average for private cars and 2 to 3 wheelers by 2030. So, the Indian government is also aiming on reducing India's dependency on crude oils nowadays by increasing more of electric vehicles on the roads. So, how would you like to elaborate on this?
Yeah, no, I think this is uh, a good starting point, that India is aiming to become 30% EV by 2030. Uh, there are lots of and I let me start with this, that there are lots of people who think that this is not possible, this will not go anywhere. Um, all I can say is that more than 30% has already happened in at least one segment of vehicles, and that is three-wheelers. Okay. There's a rapid pace, at least in city areas, where buses are being converted into electric e-buses. Lot of last mile delivery in commercial vehicle, which is two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and light commercial vehicles, are being moved to electric vehicles. You know, large logistics providers, who are working with e-commerce and other logistics initiatives, quick commerce, e-commerce, they are moving into adoption of electric vehicles. So, to my mind, I think this number seems very achievable and very doable. However, there are some challenges. The challenges, of course, most of us know that we do not produce enough lithium in this country. We have to import. We are dependent on others. Battery technology is being experimented with. Lithium ion is one successful model in today's context. But are there any other ways in which batteries can, other battery technologies can be equally successful, etc., etc. Now, when we look at our energy dependency on fossil fuels, which is petroleum products, we must remember that EVs per se do not solve that problem. I think we need to correct ourselves that EV only is a means of storage of energy, an energy which is produced elsewhere through some other means. So India needs to look at much more of renewable energy. Solar energy is picking up in India. In Indian context, solar energy makes a lot of sense. We are also looking at ethanol mixed petroleum products, which has already happened. India is already at E10 level, which means all our fuel in this country today are mixed with 10% ethanol. We are moving towards an E20 regime. We are looking at flexi fuel engines, which means that a engine which can work on petroleum as well as ethanol-based product. We are looking at gas-based solutions. We already have a significant penetration of CNG. We're looking at PNG and other gas-based, biogas-based solutions as well. But many of those are not in a stage where they will be very commercially usable. Uh, and finally, I must touch upon hydrogen because hydrogen, the Indian government is very bullish on hydrogen. We're talking about a hydrogen mission, national hydrogen mission already. There is a tremendous focus on investments in that sector, and hydrogen mission is also happening. Now, therefore, the question might arise if I stop here today, the question might arise with all the youngsters, then should we not do EV related skills? Should we go and do also hydrogen? Should we also do biomass? Should we do something in battery technology? I think it adds to the whole confusion that was already there when you came into this session. Okay. Now
Correct.
the reason why I'm trying to put this picture in front of you and not only going to talk about electric vehicle or battery electric vehicle to be in particular is because we must know the larger scenario in which we want to work. Okay. And therefore we must be very open and open to the learning for the newer adjacent technologies in the area that we are talking about. So when you are preparing yourself with electric vehicle skills, don't consider yourself to be electric vehicle skilled person. Consider yourself to alternate form of vehicle energy person. And there could be many alternate forms of vehicle in your own lifetime as you go along. Okay. Because there are constant innovations happening, constant technology disruptions happening. And when you learn some of these, so I just want to pause, take a minute's diversion on this and relate to something which we had gone through in our lives. So um, we were pre-Windows era computer people. There were no Windows. Windows 95 was the first popular version. And you can imagine that we went to college much before that.
Yes,
Okay.
true.
So today, most of you are used to doing Word, Excel, PowerPoints in Microsoft Office. We never learned those. What we used to do was a product called WordPerfect and a product called in spreadsheet Lotus 123. Okay. And most of you, many of you were not born at that time, so you wouldn't even have heard about these softwares. Now, we learned those, but that didn't stop us from using Microsoft Office when Microsoft Office started becoming popular. Because we learned it from a fundamental perspective that this is word processing, this is a spreadsheet, this is a presentation tool. Now, so today, a lot of my PPTs I don't do on PowerPoint. I do it on a AI-based software like Gamma AI or whatever. A lot of my word processing I don't do on Microsoft Word. I do it on a chat GPT and then bring it into Word and do my editing. Okay. So, we've moved from basic word processing features to Microsoft environment to now AI driven, open AI driven kind of models where things are getting generated by the machine and you are only required to review and edit and validate word processing. So imagine what you are learning in EV skills today to the Lotus 123 era of spreadsheet. You might be required to get into a Microsoft era, and at some point in your lifetime, you might be able to get into an AI-based spreadsheet era. So I mean, many of these transitions you will keep happening. So don't assume that what you learn today is going to be good for your lifetime. Okay, you will have to keep learning, and this is the one thing that I must thank about my journey in IIM Lucknow when I did my MBA. There was only one thing that I think I learned in the 2-year program, which was learning to learn something new. If you are if you are very comfortable in learning something new, then you are sorted for the rest of your life.
Life. Correct.
Okay. So, today we are doing a Zoom session, and my first time ever that I did online classes actually was in a platform called Interwise, which probably doesn't exist today. This was in 2003. So it has been more than 20 years that I have used a platform like this. But of course, it's very different today. You know, the technology has evolved and the solutions have evolved. I mean, you could do this entry control, you can do sharing of content. There, you had to share the content in advance to the company in their customer care, in their server, and they would allow you to do the control of that PPT when you were actually doing a presentation. But if you had not done something in advance, you wouldn't be able to make a presentation. Yeah. So these technologies change, and these EVs will change, and the way vehicles move will change. So learn from the basics, learn from a perspective that this is something new.
Very rightly said, sir, that transitions in life are a part of life actually, and we should all know and adopt those things whenever it is coming in our life. And again, very well said that nowadays the youth thinks that whatever they are willing to do, they would be certainly doing the same thing in the coming time also. But again, everyone needs to understand that the things and technologies do change time to time, and we all need to understand that how important it is to upgrade ourselves accordingly.
Hmm.
So, sir, one more questions regarding this topic I have. Actually, as you told me that yes, it is very much achievable that we would be having 30% of the EVs in the by 2030 in the roads. So, sir, do you think that our generation or our youth uh, has that particular skill set with them, because there are a lot of now EVs are growing or booming day by day, but by 2030 we would be needing a complete team to look after the EV problems which would be coming in day by day and everything which is required for it. So, sir, how do you feel in this that like the youths or the candidates who are willing to move into this automotive domain, do they have that particular skill set right now with them, or they need to understand the technicalities of it?
Uh, I think it's a it's an interesting question, of course, but uh, see, when a new technology comes in, there's something called a technology curve. And in the technology curve, what happens is that it's predominantly like a what you call in curves uh, a hockey stick curve. Okay, so what happens is that initially there is some gaga about the technology. The the interest falls, which is when a lot more innovation happens, and then suddenly it takes off.
Correct.
And then everybody forgets that there was a lull period. Okay. Uh, so I think this has been proven time and again with various new technologies that something like this has happened with many technologies. Uh, I mean, even when mobiles came into being, I started using mobiles in the year 1995, 96. So it's been about 20 plus years that I've been using this. Um, the mobile then and mobile today is completely different. We can't even think of. In 20 years, this has changed. So if you look at the youngsters' skills today, many of them may not necessarily have those relevant skills related to EV. And EV, when we talk about it, is not just EV as one thing. There are multiple areas within EV that one needs to look at. There is a lot of electronics in EV. There is lot of software in the EV. There are lots of mechanical parts in EV. Which people think that EV means there is nothing mechanical, but there is a lot of mechanical issues. Vehicle weight balancing is a very important issue. There is a lot of physics involved in it. Where do you place your battery pack is very important. Uh, the whole concept of a hub motor, motors have been there for generations, but this whole concept of a hub motor generally started developing when EVs came in because I think there was a thought that connections are easy to transmit, but producing power at one point in time in the vehicle and transmitting it to the wheel could be challenging. So why don't we fit the motor inside the wheel itself? And that's how those hub motor concepts started coming in. So these changes will keep happening, in the world, because there will be people who will be wanting to do these changes. There are loads of people, as we are discussing right now, right here, are working on some of the solutions that EVs today do not offer. But can we change that? There are many people I know that who are working on uh, uh, can I have a quicker charge? Can I can I have like an instant charge? Now, if I today say that you bring your vehicle to a device, you kind of wirelessly bring it close to that device for 30 seconds and your entire battery gets charged. Now, if I say so, you will laugh at me. What is this man talking about? But maybe tomorrow it's possible. Okay. Uh, so we don't know. I mean, we really don't know. The generation before us, our parents' generation, could never understand this whole idea of talking to people on mobiles, uh, having these meetings on Zoom calls, you know, uh, they just could not even think, but towards the end of their lives, they actually saw this happening, and especially thanks to COVID, it hastened the whole process and the whole adoption. Therefore, this becomes very important to say that it's all in our minds. If we start limiting ourselves that, oh, I don't know how to do this. Yes, you don't know today. I don't know a lot of things today, which I will probably be doing tomorrow, and I will still do it, even though I'm getting closer to my, 60, close to 60 years of existence in this planet. But it's still that if you think that in your minds you're opening up and you want to learn something, maybe most people will need to learn about EVs. Today, a lot of things that are not happening is because people don't know how to use an EV. So even
True.
users need to know about EV. So we have done programs for drivers of what changes when you start driving EVs as compared to petrol or diesel vehicles. A lot of people say it's the same, it's driving, but it's not because you are
Yes.
driving a different device. Okay. So it's very important for you to start understanding. People at the charging station, people who do charging of vehicles need to understand charging cycles, safety issues of charging. There are people who would need to provide those kind of solutions that today there isn't enough. I would say, in auto industry, we call pokayoki, which is idiot proofing. There isn't enough idiot proofing of the charging stations. That what happens if I am trying to fit a charger which is not the right charger, okay, or the vehicle is already charged, I'm trying to overcharge it. What happens to my battery? Or I don't charge, I keep charging every 1 hour of driving. What happens to my vehicle? I think most people don't know. So a lot of these are important. So a lot of you who are learning about EVs and the technology will not only do engineering, you will do a lot of different things. You will do legalities around engineering, around EVs. You will do education around EVs. You will do sales around EVs. You will do servicing of devices around EVs. And of course, you will do engineering and manufacturing around EVs. I mean, these are broad things. Now, within that, there are specializations as well. So one needs to start getting deeper and deeper into some area. EV per se is like a very broad topic. In general, I would say, when you get into
Correct.
EV as a domain, because that itself is like a big topic. What in EV are you looking at?
True.
Are you
That's it.
looking at power electronics? Now, if you are looking at power electronics, are you looking at control units? If you are looking at control units, are you looking at architecture design or are you looking at deployment issues? So you
True. That's it.
have to find your areas of expertise as you start getting deeper and deeper into the scope of studies.
True. True, sir. Actually, EV domain is a lot to speak about because we have different areas of expertise in that, which everyone needs to understand and do their work accordingly. So, sir, we have Aniket with us, and he
Yeah.
has a question that, in light of the recent transition to electric vehicle, where's all the electricity going to come from? How dependable is solar energy and other resources that you mentioned?
Okay. Good question. Aniket, hope you are here. If you can type in the chat box for me, what was the per capita electricity consumption in India in the 1950s? How many units of electricity would an average Indian be using in 1950s? Soon after, let's say, we got independence. Any idea?
I would like, Aniket, I would request you, if you are present in the session, you can definitely put it in the chat box.
Okay, so I am not sure if Aniket is still there, but let me share with others. Uh, Around 1950s, Indians used to no, Aniket, nowhere near current consumption is like a generic statement. I am now talking to you from a data perspective. So they used to, I mean, Indians used to use about 20 units of electricity. How much do people use? How many units do people use in India currently? From 20 units to any idea? Don't tell me that much more than that. 200 units, okay? People is saying 200 units is what Indians use uh, per capita consumption of electricity is 200 units, given that data that I have shared with you that there is 220 units of electricity that an Indian used to use around 1950s. Himanshu also says 200 to 300.
200
Any
to
other
300.
guesses? In your chat box quickly. No? No more guesses? So it's 1200 units. And this is the data of 1920. 23, 24 would have added another maybe 50 to 100 units on a per capita basis. So Aniket, the only thing I'm just trying to highlight here is that there is electricity which is going to be made available, you know. There is a natural law which says in human civilization that if human beings start using something, they will find a way to produce that as well. Okay, so electricity is going to come. Which way you and I probably can't say today. Uh, to an extent, you are right in terms of saying dependable solar energy. Um, I don't know. Yes, I see a lot of work being done by private initiatives, public initiatives in solar energy. So there has been some changes, significant changes, but I quite agree with you that how dependable is that, etc., etc. So it's like a naysayer's view that you know, would it actually happen? Uh, no, it may not be. You know, somebody has started using whiteboard. Uh,
Yes.
okay, so
So, sir,
yeah.
yes.
So I think the answer to your question is that if we have significant number of EVs, battery electric vehicles, which need to be charged, we will find a way to produce that much more electricity. This question is not today's question. This question was asked when Thomas Alva Edison produced a electric bulb also. The same question was asked to him that where is all this electricity? You've produced a bulb, fantastic, which runs on electricity. Where is the electricity going to come from? And we know what the answer is today because we are couple of 100 years, more ahead of Thomas Alva Edison, and we know that. So probably 100 years down the line, if we were fortunate enough to have this conversation, we wouldn't have this question probably as a valid question. Either EVs wouldn't have happened, or if EVs have happened, electricity was going to be there.
True that, sir. So, Saurav has a question, sir. Saurav
Mm.
says, very good evening, sir. I have a question that is, suppose someone just graduated from electronics background. So, how can he or she can dive in this EV field? Like, from where he or she should start?
Yeah. Um, so, sort of good question. You graduated from electronics background. Um, so I understand, when you graduate from a college, you have this very strong affinity for the branch of engineering that you come from, that, okay, I am electronics engineer, I am a mechanical engineer, etc. In a few years' time, it will become that I am an engineer. And in a few more years, you will start saying that I'm a graduate. Okay. And you will forget about that you had done engineering or you had done electronics engineering. But not to put that down. Uh, on EV field, I think not only in EV, any vehicle today, it's an electronic device, as much an electronic device as it is a mechanical or an electrical device. So there is a lot of electronics in the vehicle. Depends on what is the area of interest that you have in electronics. Are you interested in doing designing? Are you interested in doing testing? Are you interested in doing servicing? What is it that you are interested in? And then what part of the vehicle are you interested in? Okay. The earliest and the most stable part of electronics in the vehicle today is the infotainment system, where electronics entered the vehicle long time back and it's still there. But beyond infotainment, there are many areas within the vehicle. The braking system has become electronic braking system. I come from braking system background, which was completely a mechanical device, is now it is controlled by electronic pulses. So you could look at getting into electronic braking, electronic steering controls. You can get into electronic lighting controls. Many different areas. Okay, so it's up to you where you want to find your interest. Do a read up a lot more, practice a lot more, find out a way to get some hands-on experience in certain areas, and then you can start getting into the groove and getting into the journey. That's how one builds a profession. Yeah.
True, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable answer. I hope Aniket and Saurav got their answers. But again, sir, I would also like to address this that we, in this time period, we also see a lot of students having this confusion whenever they are willing to start their career in the automotive industry. There is a lot of questions coming in from different backgrounds, like the generation understands that no, they are from the electrical background, or someone is from triple E, or maybe EC, or maybe from mechanical domain, or from an automobile domain. So they think that every different domain has different parts or jobs coming in for them. So how would you address this? As you told a very good point that with time, everyone would understand that we have completed our engineering, or we are a graduate student, not coming from different backgrounds but working for the industry. So, sir, how would you address this? That lot of queries and questions I have also received like this, that we are from a mechanical background. Can we just switch to the EV industry or automotive industry and start our career there?
Sure. No, absolutely. That's what I said, that when you get out of a graduate program, this is what you feel that this, and it's good to recognize the constraint or the boundaries within which you want to operate. Uh, but please remember, and unfortunately, our engineering education hasn't kept up with the needs of the industry. Today, the industry, and I'm talking about automobile industry, uh, while we need a lot of specialists in each area, we also need people who understand multidisciplinary approach.
True.
Okay. Now, why do you need a multidisciplinary approach? Uh, Maybe I'll just spend a minute in terms of giving one example from the auto industry. I'm sure there are quite a few mechanical engineers in this room, in this Zoom session today. Now you understand that a lot of European vehicles have not been very successful in the Indian context, whereas a lot of Japanese and Korean vehicles have been very, very successful in the Indian markets, right?
Right, sir.
A lot of people will say this specialization, Toyota has this, Suzuki has this, etc., etc. I'll give you another different angle to this, and this I learned when I was reading about uh, anthropology, and there is a certain human structure, and which is different in different geographies of this planet. The European structure is very different from the Eastern structure, which we are part of. So when you look at a vehicle which is designed completely in Europe, it is designed for a standard European male user. These automobiles have traditionally been driven by males. Or even if they have rectified it for women, let's say it's designed for European women structure, which is very different from Asian structures of human beings. So the comfort that you get in driving those vehicles is not the same when you drive vehicles which are designed for Eastern markets like Japan, Korea, India, because our structures are very different. The length of our arms, average length of our arms and legs are very different from an average European. So the design to which dif distance from steering to your sitting space. There is some adjustment which you can do in the sitting, of course, but there is a difference. So this is what I'm talking about, a multidisciplinary approach of using. So now if I am a mechanical engineering designer, I may need the help of a humanities domain of anthropology to understand the impact of my design. Have you ever thought that should there, a lot of women in India, if you observe them driving, they pull their seat the closest to the steering wheel. Now, can
Yes.
some vehicle manufacturer design a vehicle where these things get shifted and then there is a very comfortable distance between the steering wheel and the seat, and still they are able to drive it because the paddles are not that far away? So I can press the steering wheel a little back when I am pushing the seat in front. Is that possible? Possible. Has somebody done it? Not yet, probably. So this is how a lot of interest can come in terms of what you want to do in this area.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. Sir, Anshuman has a question. He says, "Good evening, sir. I'm a working professional in power sector field. I have also 3 years of experience in this field, but now I want to switch my career in electric vehicle. So suggest me how to get into this field and how to sustain in this field."
Very interesting, Anshuman. Surely you can do that. For the first time in automobile, we have some high voltage applications because when we are doing quick charging, etc., it's done at a high voltage. Then there is the whole EV infrastructure space where you are setting up charging infrastructure. You need to integrate these charging stations with the grid, and you will need people who could do that, who could design EV charging systems, both the external EV charging units as well as the internal charging points, in-vehicle charging points, as we call it, the plug-in hybrids that we talk about, essentially, or the battery electric vehicles that we talk about. So there are many areas that you could think about going, maybe explore options with charging station manufacturers, etc., where they need a lot of people with experience in the power sector, uh, and even people who design components for in-vehicle charging system. They need people with power system backgrounds. Could we move to the next question?
Yeah, sure, sir. So, sir, the next question is from Jishan. He says, "Good evening, sir. I'm pursuing MTech in robotics and automation. So, my final year project is based on EV vehicles. Could you please help me in getting a idea based on EV based projects?"
So there could be many different ideas. Definitely, there are ideas on usage of EV vehicles in logistics, warehouses, where in order to do automation of pickup uh, and drops, there are uh, automated robots that are used, which run on an autonomous vehicle, uh, which could be EV. So you need to look around and see what are some of these opportunities that one can look at. It could be even uh, a project that you can think of, let's say, um, luggage handling in airports. These are manually handled today. Uh, can we get those robotized, uh, run on an electric vehicle which transfers the luggage from the aircraft to the luggage bay and integrated with a robotic arm at the luggage bay, which picks up, which docks with that vehicle and is able to transfer luggage from the vehicle to the well. Uh, just random thoughts. I'm just giving. Be observant. Look around areas happening around you. Think of an idea. You can surely look at any particular project that you can think of.
So, I hope that Jishan, your question has been cleared by sir. So, sir, we have one more question, which is, sir, in jobs of mechanical, will the technical subjects which we study are used like strength of materials and theory of machines? Those subjects I am more interested in these concepts.
So the subjects that you have mentioned are very fundamental subjects, so of mechanical engineering. So when you design something, the strength of the material is important. So the concepts that you learn in strength of material uh, will be uh, required when you are looking at some design or some testing of some parts uh, in a mechanical device. Uh, And theory of machines basically again is a very fundamental theory. I mean fundamental subject. It talks about the very basics of machine design. If you have to learn machine design, you need to be very comfortable with the theory of machines, various elements of machines, which is ratchet systems, gear systems, pulley systems, how some of these work together, interact with each other. So I think if you have to grow and remain in the mechanical domain, you cannot do without a good grip over the knowledge on these basic subjects. So it's not really a choice. You got to understand this. And if you are not understanding this, the quicker you exit from mechanical domain, the better it is for you. Because you won't survive in that domain without the understanding of these basics.
So, sir, we'll take one more question as if now and we'll move forward. And at the end, we'll be taking the questions.
Mhm.
So, Himanshu has a question, sir. In India, we mostly go with economical car. So, how easily and softly EV can capture larger Indian market? And also, there are many safety issues and services is also not good enough.
Right. So, there is a standard advantage of an electric vehicle, which means that the cost of operation is low in the sense that um, the electricity costs are typically per kilometer basis will be lower than the petroleum product costs. The other piece is that if a vehicle is built quite well, you would not need as many servicing as you would need in case of a IC engine vehicle because there are significantly less number of moving parts and therefore you wouldn't need too much of a servicing. How much of a servicing do you really need for your mobile or your laptop? You just keep using it. You don't need to go to a service station every now and then. But with a vehicle, now at least vehicles have IC engine vehicles have reached a level where you are supposed to take them once a year to the garage. But you still take them to the garage once a year, or sometimes more than once a year because you may have some issues. So EVs definitely can make that cut. The challenge is that in IC engine vehicles, this has developed over the last 100 years, and a lot of refinement in the vehicle technology has happened over these 100 years. EVs, it's only of late that people have started working on it. So it's not about just the EV technology. It is about the entire building up of the car and how it operates and how the lifetime is, how the design using the materials are. Uh, you need to kind of uh, look at that kind of a model. The other piece that I would definitely contest here is that India is a fast growing economy today, and it is expected that in the next 20, 30 years, India will become an economic powerhouse in the world. We are already poised to become the third largest economy in the world. And our GDP, per capita GDP is growing significantly all the time. Okay. So in the car industry, do not just keep thinking about economical car, cheap car, etc. Gone are those days. In India now, people in India will always remain value conscious. So they will buy a luxury vehicle provided that luxury provides certain value. They will not buy a vehicle just for the sake of buying a vehicle which is costly. Okay, if there is a value provided by that vehicle, people are willing to buy a expensive vehicle. Today, the market the car market in India used to be at 2 to 3 lakh kind of range as the entry level. Today, that has already moved to about 9 to 10 lakhs as an entry level. And it's not just because of the inflationary factors, it is also because the choice of the cars. The engine size has moved to at least 1 liter plus at this point in time, where we were earlier 800 cc kind of a market. So these changes must be taken into, in terms of customer consumer preferences, must be taken into account and should not be only stuck with historical evidences that India needs. And if historical evidences were right, then the Tata Nano should have become an electric Nano and should have just ruled the market, but it's not.
So, I hope, Imanshu, your question has been cleared by sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable answer. So, sir, moving forward, I would like to put some, light on ASDC. So, as the students have joined with you today, can you please tell us a bit about ASDC? What exactly Automotive Skill Development Council is?
Okay. Thanks, Imran. Automotive Sector Skill Development Council is an apex body for skill development ecosystem in the automotive domain. This is promoted by industry and the government. So from industry side, we have three associations, national associations of automobiles, who are the promoters of ASDC, which is SIAM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturer, ACMA, which is the Auto Component Manufacturers Association, and FADA, which is the Federation of Auto Dealers Associations. On the government side, we are attached to Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. We are attached to Ministry of Heavy Industries because automobile industry comes under heavy industries. And we are attached to the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways because driving of vehicles is under the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. So Um, this is a body which works under the main regulator in the skill development domain, which is NCVET, the National Council for Vocational Education and Training. And we are an accredited awarding body for uh, NCVET certifications that we offer to various partners who offer ASDC courses. So ASDC operates on two models. One is that there are standard ASDC courses which are offered by partners. And then there are partners who offer their own courses which are kind of supported and endorsed by ASDC. Now, both the kind of courses and certifications are available from ASDC. We also work with a lot of schools, colleges, ITIs, polytechnics, along with the industry. So for us, the candidate who is learning the skills is at the center, and they have connections to the government because there could be some help from the government schemes, from training institutions and academic institutions, which is where they learn these skills, and industry organizations where they actually go and apply these skills. So we kind of try to bridge all these for the student as a single nodal body in the country, and we operate pan-India across all states and union territories of India.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing this. But sir, I have a question that, as we have always seen that despite of numerous training programs, many employers still find graduates lacking practical skills. So, how does ASDC address this gap, and what specific measures are taken for this kind of whenever this situation is coming? And as you we are also having a good relation with ASDC, like Skyskill has a good relation with ASDC for the past 3 years. So how Sky Skill and ASDC are helping improve this basically, or
Sure.
make sure that, or like sure that the students are job ready from day one.
Right. Uh, see, any skill that you learn can only be learned if you practice it in real life. If you were to do swimming, unless you get into the water, you can't swim. I can't give you a PPT session and tell you that this is how swimming is done, and these are the forces which act on your body, and therefore you are able to swim. It's not going to help you swim. Uh, you have to get into the water. You will first drown yourself, and then you will actually start figuring out the skills to swim. Well, along with the trainer, of course. The trainer will guide you, support you, and handhold you in the initial day. So even for any technical skills that you want to learn, you have to do things. If you have to
True
learn
that.
about a vehicle, you need to be constantly with the vehicle and inside the vehicle. Opening up the vehicle, repacking the vehicle or reassembling the vehicle, testing the vehicle, experimenting with the vehicle. This is very important. Unless you do that, so which means that practical training is very important. So all ASDC programs have at least 70 to 75% of their time focused on practical training. And as far as Sky Skill Academy programs with ASDC are concerned, they are designed to have practical training in the labs and on-the-job training with the potential training partners as some of the ways where people get their exposure to hands-on work. The challenge with the graduates typically in many engineering colleges and other educational institutes are from a perspective that while they know all the theory, but they don't know how to do things. So, uh, and I'll just pick up, I think somebody had asked a question here, Harsha, talking about strength of materials and theory of machines. Now, let's say in strength of materials, you are doing a lab and you have a test piece on which you going to do shear stress, shear test, or a tensile strength, or whatever experiment that you are going to do. What you do is you are told that these are the steps that you have to follow in the machine, and you observe the recording, you note it down in your practical notebook, and you think you have learned it. But
True.
did you ever prepare that test piece in a machine shop? What happened if you had done it with another material, not with steel piece that your lab assistant gave you? Did you try a copper piece or a brass piece? What had happened to that? So now, if you can learn like this, where you have an opportunity to experiment and keep, opening up things and learning things, I think the more you can demand that from your training institution and you can get exposure to that, you will be able to learn. You will become much more employable, because when you get to a job, your employer will know that you are actually able to deliver this.
Sure, sure, sir. That's very true, sir. Actually, sir, you would also, agree to this point that yes, nowadays, the students after passing out from their BTech or B background, they need to have some kind of practical experience, as the competition nowadays is growing day by day. So not only theoretical but practical experience and like skill set is a major part of the industry, sir.
Right.
Okay. So, thank you so much, sir. I believe that we had a great session today with you. And I hope that we would be seeing you soon again. And we would be having these sessions very, soon. the next session would be very soon with you. We would be awaiting that, and all the future aspirants who have joined today might have got a lot of industry insights and a good knowledge from you. So, sir, we'll just take one or two questions more and we'll wrap up for the day. So, sir, Vishwadeep asked, what about design and simulation of the vehicle, sir?
Even there, you need very practical experience. So when you do a design, you need to get to a prototype, test it out, see your design is working, then only it will work. Simulation, again, you know how to do a simulation. You will run a simulation software or a simulation package. But having done that, you must know how practically it will work. Does it work practically or not? Because simulation, again, is a method to anticipate or mimic what will happen in real life. But unless you have actually uh, done that, it will not happen. So I mean, I think a lot of you in your childhood days would have created this paper aeroplane. Now, when you do a paper aeroplane design, you just learn it from somebody senior, maybe your teacher or maybe some senior elder brother, sister, cousin, whoever it is. Now, having done that, you have learned it, how to do the design and all that. You've learned the designing of a paper aeroplane. But till the time you have actually done it with a piece of paper and flown it, you don't know really what is wrong with those designs or what can you change in with that design. Do you have more, larger wings? Should you have smaller wings? Do you have thinner paper? Do you have thicker paper? All these variations you can learn only when you have actually flown that paper aeroplane. So it's just like that in real life. You have to be able to do that experimentation.
True that, sir. Thank you so much for your answer. So, Shripad has a question that I am a automobile
Mechanic.
mechanical engineer having 7 years experience in maintenance and open small garage. But now I'm looking at EV technology and interested in design field. So, can I enter into a design field, or it is better to put myself in maintenance field?
Good question, Shripad. Happy to hear from you. Uh, and you have a small garage. That's interesting. Uh, so I can understand that you are a hands-on person already. So if you have serviced a vehicle, so in our vehicle industry, there is nothing called that if you have serviced a vehicle, you will remain a service person your entire life. Or if you are a design person, you cannot do servicing. In
Servicing
fact,
or
when
maintenance?
you do design, you have to design for its maintenance. A good design is actually a device or a machine or a vehicle which is much easier to do maintenance if you have to uh, if there is a certain part which needs a lot of regular intervention or maintenance, like if you see the air filter in a car. Now the air filter is something which is what you need to change quite often, right? Because it gets clogged and etc. So the air filter is designed and placed in such a way that you don't have to open up too many things in your car to change the air filter. You just open that lid where the air filter is housing is there, and you just remove it. You just remove the air filter. If it is to be cleaned, it is cleaned and put back, or if it is to be replaced, you just throw it away and you replace a new one. And you are done with the air filter replacement. So that is how design happens. So being coming in from a garage perspective, from a mechanic's perspective, uh, you will probably do quite well in design actually. So if you want to get into design, please go ahead. But if you have to get into design, it will be much more beyond the servicing knowledge. So you'll have to learn about it.
So I hope Shipad, your answer has been like your question has been cleared by sir, and you got the answer about it. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time today. And again, sir, there are a lot of questions which I need to ask, but there is less time with us. We are time constrained. So again, I would wait for the next upcoming session with you, and I would love to ask you more of the questions and get the insights from you. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this session today and giving us a lot of insights about the industries.
Thank you. Thank you. It's pleasure. My pleasure. Wish you all of you, all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So I hope everyone that today's session was very effective for you as you all got some insights about the industry and how important it is for the youth to get that necessity skill set which is required for nowadays in the industry. So it's not only about the studies or the academics which you would be doing theoretically, but again, at the same time, you also need to have exactly my words would be you also need to have that particular skill set for the industry or the hands on experience or practical experience for the industry which would help you grow, right? So I hope everyone must be knowing Skyskill Academy and they are not new to this. So again, if someone is new to Skyskill Academy, I would like to introduce you that Skyskill Academy is a skill development platform in which we provide certain certification and job guaranteed programs. So anyone who is interested can visit to Skyskill Academy's website, that is www.skyskill.com, and you can get all the details there or apply for any of the programs you might be interested for, and you would be getting a counseling call from our end, and definitely we would love to help you out with your career. So thank you so much everyone for joining in. I hope that you all have a good night today. We'll see you soon.